All right. This is a big one here in Group A. So to sum it up, I know you guys have tried to follow a lot of games, but you might not have been able to watch everything. So one of the craziest upsets so far in Titans League Season 2 was the fact that in the first week, Running, a promoted player, beat Vinchester 2-1. Okay? Vinchester was the Season 1 champion. All right? Then, 2 weeks later, Valas played against Vinchester, and Vinchester smashed him 3-0. So Running's got a chance here. In fact, Valas was also smashed by ACCM 3-0. There's a very good chance here for Running. If he can win 2-1 or like 3-0 against Valas, which I wouldn't have said before the season that he would actually be favored to. I would have said Valas was actually favored above him. Then, maybe he could actually stave off that relegation fear that all the promoted players are going to end up having in this group. The group's also a little bit weird right now, just to clarify later for YouTube, because Nikov was moving. So Nikov, he is going to be playing his games soon. And Nikov will be catching up, basically, in this group. But, yeah, I've never thought that Mongols would be picked here. You can use the scouting bonus to find extra sheep, I guess. And you could also lame. Whoa, dude. Okay, so at the moment, that board just left Valis' vision. He was getting extra sheep. Does he know that that's been stolen? Or is this just normal scouting? I think it's just normal scouting. I don't think that he actually realizes his boar is gone right now. Because normally what you do if you've been lamed and you know is you scout all the way to the edge of the map. Because you will be able to see the boar moving in the fog. And you just want to scout freely to the edge so you can catch a glimpse of it. I don't think Valis knows, but maybe he does. Maybe he feels like the extra sheep is something that he can live with. Because he's gone for the Tatars, which makes a lot more sense in my opinion. For a map with the extra sheep. But wow. So Running, maybe wanting an early edge, or just taking advantage of his civilization here. He's going to get this boar most likely. I've got all the faith in the world that he can bring this thing in. It shouldn't be an issue for players in Platinum, as long as he doesn't go too far. Wait, you got to wait till it goes back and you get one more doink on it. Sometimes it continues to follow you, but this could be awkward. Oh, God. I jinxed him, man. Okay, now that will continue to follow. As long as he doesn't move too far. This is the boar's point of view, FYI. Hold on. There. Boar point of view. This is why you can't move too far. But the scout is even weaker. But I guess it still makes sense. And, you just had to take that boar at this point regardless. And there he goes. And he takes the boar no problem. But, I mean, maybe no problem isn't the way to describe that situation. So, we'll see what the build will be for Running. This could be a crazy post-imp battle. I actually think I really like the Tatars in this matchup. The main thing I'd say is Dark Age and Feudal Age is where the Mongols feel a bit stronger because of the hunt bonus. Valis is building up towards the Drush. He has all these sheep. He pushed in 3 deer, or maybe it was 2 deer to compensate for not having the boar. And I still don't think he knows. I think he didn't even think that would be a possibility, but now he's thinking, I think I've been lamed. That'll make it awkward, but fortunately, because he's Tatars, I think he'd still end up having lots of food here. And he could also get these sheep as well. Running, he doesn't actually have a ton of sheep, and Running is also going for militia right now. Which is interesting. And these sheep were actually maybe on the edge of the map hiding. They're going to come home. Running's eco underneath the TC looks a little messy, I will say that. Oh, yeah, he's found his sheep in the back of his base now. Now, you don't normally see a lot of laming these days. It's not part of the meta as much. A lot of that's because the boars spawn to the side or the back in our events, or my events, I should say. There's more laming if boars spawn to the front. But Mongols in general also aren't seen a ton for maps that only have 2 boars and standard amounts of deer. You will see Mongols on maps where there's more hunt than that. So this seems like a Drush fast castle attempt, as we see the militia out for both players. But Valis, he has his scout. And having a full HP scout can allow you to block the walls. We are going to see Running get Loom in a decent time. And he is going to follow this all up with Feudal Age, I think. But will his militia be able to get through it all? It looks like Valis is walled up perfectly. And then on this side, the player who didn't have the scouting because they went for the lame as a villager that's exposed. And Valis actually chooses to go to the woodline instead. Interesting choice there. And then you always use this starting scout to block. I'm a little surprised he went to the wood line first. I guess this villager's still going to be here. What? Okay, quick walling here from running. Let's see how quickly he can deal with this. Still not clicking up to the next stage here, running. I think he, at this point, has realized his opponent's gone fast castle. So he's just going to try and do the same. Did take the deer over here, which honestly is probably worth milling if you think about it. And not a big fan of the eco layout right now for running and the fact that his militia, he spent more resources on, and he still can't do much damage. But what you do here, guys, is you just attack the house. House will actually go down pretty fast in Dark Age, so that's your play here. The running really wanted those deer, I imagine, and he's choosing not to do that now because of the drush. There is a point here, though, if you're running. You have to just assume that your opponent's fully walled. Or at least attack the house and do something while your scout checks to see if there's a hole there. Running has been reacting a lot in this game ever since that lane. Still hasn't clicked up to the next stage. Let's see if Valas will have the resources to actually go fast castle here, though. He is on gold in the back. He will still have some sheep. He will also still have the deer here. So I want to say that the difference between these two so far is running has looked a little more frantic, a little too crazy, like a player who needs to commit to make something happen to feel like he has a chance to win. And Valas has played confidently thus far. Even this right here, this is confidence. This is annoyance. And now he goes in and loses the militia. Doesn't kill the villager. But look, idle time, idle time. Idle time, actually. Looking at running's economy stresses me out. Looking at Valas's economy makes me feel good about life. You know, I just feel so relaxed. And now the villager's going to die. And sick, man. But again, coming into this, running has 2 wins and Valas has 0. Every game matters so much. And now running's just going to clear it up and just drop the walls down. And I'm sure he realizes now that this does not feel good. Didn't even have the mining camp there on the gold because he was so distracted by that drush. Valas drops the range. He drops the blacksmith. He's got a little bit more food here on this sheep. Don't tell me he's going to have 0 seconds. Well, maybe not 0 seconds, but close to 0 seconds here and still be able to click up to Castle Age. This is a clean build. I think, running could still get up, though. Imagine if he would have made a mill here originally. He would probably have 800 food right now. So he'll go for a stable. Maybe thinking step lancers. A lot of people have been doing that with Mongols these days. There's his blacksmith. His gold will be delayed based on what he needs. His militia went all the way home, as I'm sure you guys realized, and now they're coming back forward. The more time where the militia weren't really gaining value after the investment. So let me think through as we just wait to see what Valas will do with the crossbows here. I honestly think it's an underrated move. As he snipes the scout there from running, I think it's an underrated move for him to produce 2 archers and then just save the rest for cav archers. But yeah, so Valas has played ACCM and he's played Vinch. After running, he will have Doubt and he will have Nikov. Whew. Okay, so running has played Vinch and he has played Doubt. After this, he will have ACCM and he will have Nikov. Yo, Nikov's performance against these two could make the difference between if they get relegated or not, honestly. What type of shape Nikov actually comes into Titans League with. But yeah, and that will be happening this week. I don't know exactly Nikov's play schedule. Finally, running clicked up. He's got 2 stables here, and I think running just realizes, if this game goes meta, if this game goes clean, I'm going to have problems here, so let's try and go for something wacky. 2 stable step lancers, maybe. And behind this, Valas, he did exactly what I said. He made a couple archers and figured, well, crossbow upgrade's kind of expensive. So let's instead just go directly into these cav archers. And needs the houses anyways, so he's just been placing houses behind the militia there. These militia have been moving, man. Do I have stats on their movement capture age? Not really. But they're going to die now. Good play here for Valas, as his archers are now attacking this wall. And for running, he's just waiting for those step lancers. All right, so what's the long term here for Mongols? Long-term composition off the back of a good eco. Step lancers. And, oh, sorry, not step lancers. Maybe hussars. and Mangudai. And then Tatars would have hussars as well, with a bit more pierce armor. And cav archers, probably. Maybe even the random flaming camel that could come in and surprise everyone. Personally, I feel like the Mongol... While the Mongol imp is probably stronger because of just Mangudai, it's so much more difficult to get to. The Tatars had more sheep in the Dark Age. The Tatars now have the sheep that'll arrive from their new TC back here. And Tatars have a pretty good time window here. But running, she's going to deal with these archers now. I'm pretty sure that Valas expects something like this. Actually, did he attack the right spot? He did attack the right spot. I kind of thought that he had attacked a palisade that was like this. Oh, disaster for running. Oh, this is so bad. Oh. The thing is, though, guys, I don't even know if he could kill the cav archers with the step lancers, even if he went this direction. But you need to address the cav archers before you address the archers on the right side. This is... I mean, I know step lancers are exciting with the Mongols. Sure, you get extra HP, but they lack pierce armor. You lack upgrades. This whole game was a disaster for running, and Valas gets lamed, and then he just dominates running there. So now it's 1 win for Valas, and it's 2 wins for running, and we go in with 2 more games. Dang. So we knew Valas needed to play clean today. We knew Valas needed to get a 2-1 or a 3-0 to feel even somewhat comfortable about a chance of staying up here in the top league. And that's just the perfect start for you for running. Again, I think he took some risks. And based on his draft, it did seem like he really drafted heavily towards 1 or 2 maps, not necessarily Ghost Lake. And, you know, sometimes, again, if you take those risks and try and lame, it's because you just don't think you can play as good as this guy. It certainly seemed like it there from that game. Game 2 in this series between these two. Again, super important that these guys get wins. I think from here on out with Game 2 and Game 3, either player could win both of those games and they could still get relegated because they need to get results against the other players in Group A. Both the players that were promoted up from Gold League into Platinum League, right? And so there's no better chance for them to get wins than against each other. Running had drafted Turks, Portuguese, both just insane civs we've seen on Arena so much recently, and the Bengalis. So he drafted 3 civilizations, his first 3, all for this map, because I don't think he's going to play those civilizations on Arabia, which would be game number 3. Bengalis are certainly very strong. We'll see if Running can get his victory here. It feels like Running absolutely needs to boost his confidence after the first game. So now we chill. And actually, this is a good opportunity for me to answer questions from chat or say hello to people. I talked through the Polish Dark Age already today. Bengali Dark Age I've talked through a lot too. I'll have time to touch on it. But since it's Arena, if there are questions, feel free to chime in. To the person asking the results between Viper Barrels, I would say check Liquipedia, which someone can link you. I prefer not to touch on it because I just don't want to spoil it for someone who didn't see the cast. Also, if you're watching on desktop, you could just scroll back on the stream too. But I imagine if you asked that, you probably aren't in a position to do that. Is Valas also a clown, says Jeremiah. I would say he's a boomer. I wouldn't say that he's a clown. He's very good with economy, which means the polls suit him, right? And I also don't think Running is a clown. Like, Running likes to play Arena, but he is capable in more open maps. He just realizes that to compete against the best in the world, he needs to play with the more closed maps. But I've told this story before, but like, I played dozens and dozens of games with Running, all in Arabia. Like, Running has a very big background on open maps. It's just that these days, if you see like a highlight or a result where Running wins, he's winning on a more closed map against some of like the bigger names. But that could also be due to the vulnerabilities that the bigger names have on closed maps. That said, I forget what maps he beat Vinchester on. I know he beat Vinchester on Cross, and then I forget the other game. It was Hindustanis versus Mongols on Cross, and then what was the other one? Anyways, you could check Liquipedia for that as well. Why don't we see Celts more often on Ghost Lake? I might have thought that their herdable bonuses would be really good. I think you would see Celts more frequently if their militia still move faster in Dark Age. Like, maybe a little bit more frequently, but at the end of the day, the mid-game for Celts is very weak. They don't have Bloodlines on their Knights, they don't have Thumb Ring on their Archers, and they don't even get Arbalest. So for 1v1 games, you know, you're just going to have Knights, or you're going to have Cav Archers, or you're going to have Crossbowmen on you, and you just can't really compete well with that. And I think they just have some awkward transitions. Valas is a big Black Forest guy, which is sort of like a clown. Again, you know, it depends on your definition of clown. When I think clown, I think like dodge Arabia, never play it, go for crazy all-in monk plays more often than not. Like, I wouldn't even necessarily consider Draken that much of a clown. He isn't a clown legion, but like, the reason he's the best player in Clown Legion is because he's got aspects to his game which aren't quite as all-in and crazy. Sometimes, anyways. He can still do that every once in a while, so. Hera crossed over into 2800 Elo today. Is that the first time that's happened in DE? Yep. I think so. There's Elo inflation that's happening below as well. You've got like 2200s hitting 2300 for the first time. But more than anything, it's just, I think, when you have the issue with the ladder is if you have inactivity, it can affect the ladder in different ways. And I think if you have like the top, let's say 5 players from the top 10 playing ladder all the time, it's going to give them the potential to boost their elo a lot more. And that's happened the last couple weeks. But yeah, elo, it is funny to me. Elo is obviously a fun thing to play for. And it's obviously like an exciting thing for you and I maybe. But past a certain point, maybe I'm just too old. I can't get hyped up for like, oh, world record elo. Like, it's just a matter of time, man. I just can't get hyped up for it. When there's tournaments anyways, I can't do it these days. I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a cranky old man. Yeah, that's true. And meanwhile, you have 2300s hitting 2100 like me. That's it. That's probably why I can't get excited over elo, because I'm losing all mine. That's probably the reason why. But yeah, I hope Hera can translate that into good results in tourneys. Obviously, Jordan as well. I think Jordan and Viper were the other two trying to get 2800. I do like it translates into like some decent trash talk on Twitter and whatnot. Because Twitter these days has been less exciting for me. I tried to spice it up a little bit last night, and I'm genuinely pushing for change so we can get Tarkans with their sound back in the base game, or in like the DE base game, instead of people having to use mods. So hashtag bring back the thump. We'll see if the devs do that. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to say anything else behind the scenes. I want to see if one tweet, and, you know, me commenting on it in many videos, is going to lead to the devs actually prioritizing something like that. Tarkans are classic, man. Hey, T90, are there any current pros who just became a pro from DE without playing the Classic? There are a few, depending on your definition of pro. I think the best player who didn't play any of the of pre-DE is Margugu. Margugu's in gold. There's a few other names too. I actually had some really cool instances recently. So there's a player who, these guys just played in silver, but they were like top 150 or whatever, right? So the player Solara, who I think got a win off of Whitecourt or whatever, he and then another Italian, another player named Salciaceto. I can't really say it. Those two names, this is kind of unique. They told me while I played them, in ranked that they came back because of my videos. And, like, I've had people say they came back to the game because of my videos for many years. But the fact that that's happening now in ranked play tells me that, like, man, we've been doing this thing for a long time. DE's been out long enough, and now these guys are getting really, really good. So I wouldn't be surprised if over the next, like, year or two, because there's got to be other people who have come back and been playing. Like, there might be more talents that come in that have either come back to the game or, like, never played the game before. So, points on the ladder is for people that enjoy Lobby Simulator. Well, I mean, I enjoy ladder games too. But when it comes to the top players, it's hard for me to have a ton of excitement on Elo, right? Like, if like, you know, if Viper really tryharded, he could go, like, and he didn't encounter, like, 3 names. He could go, like, 10-0 on the ladder every single day. I really like it when you have, like, the top players going for more unique strategies on the ladder. That's where my excitement comes in. If I want to see, like, the top level players play at their very best and go for the meta and crazy, you know, killing, destroying everybody, I absolutely want to see that in a tournament where there's some stakes. So, we branched out a little bit, but yeah, of course, like, you know, just because you're a good high-level player doesn't mean the ladder can't be fun for you. I totally get that, and people just put different levels of importance on it, and it's the same with anything else. So Running received +2 villagers when he got to the next stage in Feudal, and now he's received +2 villagers now that he's in Castle. So he's got a 4 villager lead, and he turns that into a TC immediately. He also is making scouts here, so he's going for Lycav, which we have the same from Valas, though Valas, while he has some good economy bonuses with the polls, not yet on an additional TC. So you would expect that his villager count is going to be lower, which means the control over the map is going to be important here. You've got Lycav v Lycav here. I don't think either Civ has any, like, additional Lycav bonus. I thought there was maybe... Shoot, don't the Bengali... Do one of their unique techs apply to Lycav? I don't think so, right? It applies to their Wrath and their Elephants, and then the other one is Pop Space to their Vills. So there's just... Yeah, I guess I'm a little crazy. I think it was their Elephants resist conversion. Lycav resisting conversion isn't really an additional bonus, so... The fighting happens here. We have micro back from Valas, but better job for Running so far. The other thing to mention, too, is the monks do have additional armor for the Megalis. So all their bonuses really they just come into place here on Arena. That's 1 relic for him already. And honestly, I think a pretty big lead currently. But that lead could obviously fall off if he were to lose all of his control in the middle. And that seems to be the approach for Valas. It's just crazy, crazy Lycav numbers here. Yeah, that's true. The polls do have the trample damage later on. That wasn't what I was thinking. Sometimes I confuse myself, and I thought there was some weird, obscure bonus that might come into play here. Monks moving forward. I wouldn't even get the Sanctity upgrade. I know you take additional hits, but I think monk numbers matter more than anything right now. Still getting receiving one additional hit to kill a monk is a nice and valuable bonus here if you're Running, and he's going to try and get back here. He actually gets a conversion, and this monk stops instead of continuing to run forward, and I think another conversion came in. What are these conversions on Lycav, man? These are all very fast conversions. It's good for Valas that he ended up getting one back. I was very surprised at how fast some of those conversions were. Maybe not the first one, because I think Running's monk was loading that for a while, but that's what monks can do, right? And so Lycav War and a boom. What I like about Valas' eco here is he actually went for the second farm upgrade before the wood upgrade. I think that's underrated with the polls. Obviously, you'll want that wood upgrade at some point. The Running had to delay his wood upgrade too. And Running will have 2 relics. Likely to be a third. I think you could even make it, for lack of a better word, a run for it now. Okay, so what do you go unit-wise? I think I know exactly what you go here, and I don't know if running's going to do it. I had this happen to me when I was up against Dark Noob once, and I've seen like some of the big boys on Arena, like Madri, do it. I think Jordan I've seen do it. Jordan will dabble in Arena from time to time on the ladder. Then again, it's like the majority of the really big names on the ladder are just experimenting. You know, they're not like playing for the win like they do in a tourney, but elephant archers. Yeah, elephant archers, guys. Also, the poles don't get help. So you could honestly just go battle elephants. Like, Dark has changed my mind on that after watching what he did against Straken the other day. If a Civ doesn't get help, can't you just go big 4TC boom into tons of elephants? Realistically, I think opening with Halberdier is your safe play. As this monk is going to get chased down and killed. And then here running is going to kill this monk. Yes, he does. He's going to kill the next monk too. No. No. Yeah, I think realistically you're expecting the poles to go for a lot of cavalry. There's already a lot of stable units on the field. So you could just open Halb as the Bengalis. I wouldn't hate that at all, but as far as your main comp, because typically you have a no gold unit and then you have a gold unit combined, I would absolutely love to see the Elephant Archer, I think. Because then the Elephant Archer works really well with the Halbs. And I've maintained since the Elephant Archers got given to some of these other civilizations, like Elephant Archers were always a really good unit, as we have a fight here. Bloodlines and Forging in for running, by the way. So he will definitely win that fight. But yeah, it's always been a really tough unit to balance, even back when it was just on the Indians. And it's a really tough unit to stop. Jeez, I mean, even in community games, we see examples of it, where like even siege onagers are going down to those things. I want to see resources collected. Poles, man. Nice job here from Valas. But still, you know, running, odds are he's going to get this relic. A little surprised. Running as Bloodlines, he has Husbandry, he has Forging, and he's not choosing to go out and contest that. But I guess it's an arena player thing. They want to heal up first. So they're just not in a rush for it. 4TC boom. This woodline actually kind of hurt running a little bit. I would have maybe chopped it. Kind of hurts his farm space. And Valis, no upgrades at all on his Lycav. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, he moves out and just sees these Lycavs sitting here, and they're just healing up. There's Imp now for Valis. What's his plan? Will we see stables? It's got to be stables, right? Yeah, surely it's stables. Elephant Archer plus Battle Elephant would be the God combo. Well, yeah. I mean, that takes a lot more time. It probably isn't extremely realistic if you want to push quickly. But one or the other would be good. Lycav here will kill the monk. Lycav here tracks this. Valis now wondering if there's going to be a monk over there. Is going to take a look. Now Bloodlines, now Forging comes in for Valis. So he will have the same amount of upgrades. And he's dropping a castle right here in the front here. I like this. I'm not the biggest fan if he were to lose the villagers, obviously, but nice little house walls there from him. And he's going to get that monk. Does he know the relic's gone now? Does he realize this? It seems like he doesn't know how far along it is. He thinks it's probably somewhere over here. Oh, no way. That's going to be 4 relics for running, who also clicks up to Imp and has a significant vill lead and will get more villagers out of all those TCs when he makes it to Imp. Okay. Running absolutely needs this win. He drafted Turks. He drafted, shoot, I forget now. It was Turks, Portuguese, and Bengalis. 1, 2, and 3. There's only one arena map, and he drafted those civs. And he's dropping archery ranges, and he's gonna do it. Okay. Now, what he doesn't have is a castle, so he can't actually make trebs. And if you were to make a castle, you'd have to make it in an awkward spot. We have Slacha Privilege coming in now for Valas. Surprise, surprise. Chemistry as well, which is a bit interesting. I guess he wants to maybe go Bombard Cannons. I wonder if he'll just... will he make a Treb here? I think Running's already thinking about this, but yeah, you want to move those relics to the back of your base right now. Takes a lot of time and upgrades for these things. Ballistics now. You need Bodkin Arrow. You're going to need Bracer. You need the Elite upgrade. Fortified Wall is really smart, though. We still don't even have any cav production right now from Valas. Though we know, like, Poles don't need much economy to spam these cav with being 60% off on gold. We are truly in a new era of arena civilizations, guys. The bonuses that you see on these civs involved in arena these days are just bonkers, man. 60% off on gold and the big food boost from your farms. Plus 2 villagers out of each TC. Crazy tanky monks, crazy elephants that people are still finding out more about. There's only 12 of them, but I think once you get to like 30, with a couple Trebs, it becomes really, really awkward for Valas. But then again, no Halbs. No Halbs could be a pretty big issue here, as we have a couple Petards inside of this right now. Valas is starting to attack the monastery. This is probably alerting Running that he should probably get out of here with his relics. There he goes. There's still one more in there. Lycav still getting some nice value in the fight. That's cool. Still would prefer you take that relic if you're running, which you'll probably do. And he's dropped a couple barracks here, so I think he's also thinking about Halp. He's got the res. He's got the pop, but can he actually push? Bengalis don't get Bombard Cannon, right? What elo are these guys? These guys have both peaked at 2,500 elo. But depends on the day, right? Depends on the day and the level of seriousness. But yeah, that's no joke, right? I think all the players who are in Platinum have been 2,500 at one point. Petard on the market? Hype. Hype, let's go. There's no Halb yet. I was really expecting a Halb opening here. We didn't see it as Running tries to keep these units out. If Running were to lose his Trebs, this could really delay him pushing out. And the weakness of the Polish Cav guys is they don't get the armor. And he doesn't even have Castle Age armor. Oh, that really is bad. I think Running can hold here. These elephants are going to be really tough to kill. As long as he doesn't take too many hits from the Bombard Cannons. Not having Castle Age armor is a big whoopsie here, man. Elephant Archer's still so far away from being fully upgraded. Like, Parthian Tactics isn't in yet. Elite isn't in. Or maybe Parthian is in. I don't think it is. And they're tanky. It's 250 HP on them right now. But they would have even more HP if some of those upgrades came in here. And, like, I don't know if Poles have an answer to this. Do you go Skirms? Do you go Onager? Where's the other relic? Sitting over here somewhere? Running just deletes some villagers because he feels like he needs more pop space. Here he goes. Let's look at the Cav. Again, it is so bad. It is so bad. Oh, that's true. Parthian is in. There's no armor upgrades from the blacksmith. Thank you, chat. The fact that he doesn't have at least Castle Age armor hurts his push so much more. But I guess, like, you know, Mass Bomber Cannon can be helpful. You can keep them alive, that is. The Lycav will try here. Monks are going to try and contribute. That cannon's down. There's more cannons back here. The Trebs are still firing. The Bombard Cannons are still going to get picked off. The Cav's just melting, bro. Oh, yikes. And these things can sit underneath the castle fire. They don't care. I really wish we could have seen that engagement and all the spam coming from Poles, though, with Castle Age armor being in. I still believe that the fully upgraded elite Elephant Archers would win. But I wish we would have had a more realistic battle there in terms of what's possible with these civs. I love it from Running, though, that he knows that the Bomber Cannons normally hide underneath the castles, and these things don't care about castles, man. Now, he will care about his Trebs Running, but he doesn't have any support over here. He is taking all this stone, though. Running, trying his best. He will take this castle out. So that's going to be the 2 castles down in the middle. Sloppy to lose the Trebs, obviously. Losing a lot of villagers, too. Valas has 140 villagers right now. But can you stop the Bengali elephants? We know about the Bengali monks. Elephant Archer Halb. Woo! Dang, man. I guess it's fair that, you know, in terms of the trade, it might not end up being too bad. But I think with everything considered here, Valas has lost the more expensive army. He lost 8 bomber cannons. I could have been miscounting that as well. It could have easily been more. Can we just appreciate the little, like, the feather hat that the elephants have? I just love the feather hat. It's actually, it works in 2 different ways. So, first off, it's a nice little distraction. But also, it fans the rider up there in the hot sun. Every time the elephant fires, it like, sends a little gust of air, a little whoosh to the rider. Now I forget if Elite has it. I was going to make a joke that, or if non-Elite has it, I was going to make a joke that's a big reason to get Elite, so your riders don't get overheated. Pikes comes in, so now I believe these fire faster even. And infantry upgrades are coming in, man. Halb Elephant Archer. Again, forget all the other bonuses that the Bengalis have. I don't think there's many civilizations that can stop this. This is truly an insane composition. And you've got... I still don't know where the 4th one is, but there are 4... Oh, it's... Is that in the market? Bro, the relic is bugged inside of the market. What is that? Anyways, so he could get 4 relics if he deletes his market, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Halb alone, though... Halb alone is still really strong opening, and that's something I think that would have worked really well. He went for the Elephant Archers first. Obviously, it still worked out very well in this game, and Valas just had no answer to that. So, you know, I wonder, like, obviously running wins this game, and this is huge. I wonder if part of running's thinking with his draft was, let's just pick civilizations away from Valas for Arena. Because we know Poles are really good on Arena, but more recently, we haven't been seeing them picked as much. At least not as much as they were like last year. You have Turks, you have you know, Portuguese, you have, you know, Burgundians. All those civs are really strong. Look at the draft real quick. He picked Turks, Portuguese, then Bengalis. You can only realistically play, well, maybe one of these. I mean, he lost with Mongols game 1. He's now played Bengali, so he could go Turks, Portuguese, or Franks in game 3. But he banned Bohemians and Burgundians. Like, this whole draft, it feels like, for running, was situated in a way where he has all the best civilizations, and then his opponent can't really counter him well. And he knows the map, arguably better than Valas as well. So he gets his win. Possible that was his goal, we'll see. But my concern for running now is he going to be at a disadvantage strategy and civ-wise for game 3 because he drafted that way? Crazy, crazy play, man. Didn't collect that much more in the way of resources, but I mean, 2,000 food over the Poles is still crazy. 12,000 gold is still crazy. Obviously, he had the relics too, which would have helped him if the game continued on for a while there. All right, game 3, we're going to adjust the colors to what we've had throughout the series. Running has gone for the Franks, which was the civilization he had gone for against Doubt in the Running vs. Doubt series. And he played Franks very well there. He opened with scouts. He held against Doubt for a while, and then eventually, that Castle Age of the Aztecs with the Eagles, the Pikemen, and the Monks just caught up with running. I remember thinking it was a bit of an early GG, but yeah, realistically, like, Aztecs just hit this sweet spot that Franks don't really have much to deal with. The Chinese, it's the same exact thing. Well, no, it's not the same exact thing, but it's the same theme where if they haven't taken damage, they have camels, they have knights, they have great crossbow play, and still cheaper eco upgrades to work off of. But I will say this about the Chinese. We've seen Chinese have some weaknesses because of the openness of this version of Arabia. And while Valas could wall, like he could use the cliff and wall here. By the way, I love the fact that there's cliffs back. I don't know, there's something about it. You know, you could see a wall this way, a wall this way, a wall here over the long term. I could see it maybe 18 pop, 19 pop, even like a well-executed 20 population scout rush working pretty well here for running. Doubt, he did some crazy things to mitigate damage. I remember his walls were kind of shaped like an egg. He didn't go for the full wall to the edge of the map. He almost would have walled like here, 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 here. Like a tiny little arena just to keep the scouts out. And the greatest feeling with Chinese is full wall to the edge of the map going into scouts. But that is also sometimes too big of a temptation. And then your villagers get picked off by the fast scout rushes. So far, the start's perfect for Valas. 15 seconds of TC idle time, and that's it. Despite starting with 0 on food. And then for running, you know, you start with food. He's pushed in some deer. Things are looking pretty good for him, and he's just going to move out now and see if he can find... If he finds this boar, he should absolutely steal it. Oh! He sees it. Against Chinese, you have to take it, right? Chinese need that food so much more than Franks do. Oh my goodness. He's going to steal this. He lamed in the first game, and on his way home, he went too far, and it became a big problem for him. Now, here's the other problem for Valas. If you chase this down, if you go try and block this, you then also can't push your deer. And if you can't push your deer and you don't end up stopping this boar, then you could have a delayed uptime and you could struggle for the food. So he's choosing to block this. Now for running, you got to make sure that it doesn't get too far away from you here. Yeah, so you could take some attacks on your scout. Valas, there, look, he tried to block the scout. Now he tries to block the boar. Running stops. Oh, this is crazy, man. This is the boar's point of view, by the way. So if the red scout is ever out of vision for a second, the boar will stop chasing. It's Gaia point of view. Oh, that stop from running was juicy. And also, good job from Valas there to realize the TC was going to be there and not take any hits. But honestly, I love this. Like, I think that the decision was an impromptu decision. It was not something that was part of the plan. But it can give Chinese some big problems if they lose out on that food, and that's what running would have wanted. And see what I mean? Valas, had he just said, okay, I'm going to lose my boar, he would have pushed in 2 deer already. But now, because he didn't push in the deer, he's going to have no food underneath his TC. At least for like half a second here. And things get delayed. So, I'm not saying it's a mistake from Valas, by the way, to end up trying to block that. I just think that there's pros and cons to the decision. And again, the weakness of the Chinese is always just early feudal. Can you get there? Can you get started? For you and for the majority of people watching, I wouldn't even suggest playing as the Chinese because the start in and of itself is already so difficult. But at the high level, what really makes it difficult is things like this. Now, he does click up, and he is probably going to push in 1 more deer. But what we'll want to pay attention to is, will he have the wood upgrade? Will he have the farm upgrade? Will he have his barracks? And will he have his stable? Something's going to give here. I think he's going to miss out on an eco upgrade, or the barracks is going to be too late. Crazy, crazy stuff. All right, obviously, running scout is weak. You know, he's really not going to be able to do much with this, too. That is a positive for Valas, so he can freely just wall. If there was no lame involved, he probably wouldn't be taking the risks with these walls. And honestly, Valas still did a very good job adapting to this whole situation here. The running will be going for scouts, as we expected. Can Valas just kill the boar? No, you attacking the boar with your scout there. First off, the boar would not start attacking you if you're Valas. It would continue to chase running because it was the initial scout that aggroed it. But also, you wouldn't do enough damage to it with your scout to be able to kill it on the way back. I actually am curious how many hits it would actually take and if that would work. But yeah, the obvious goal there is like, sometimes what you can do is you can kill the opponent's scout because their scout is weak. And if you do that and get your boar back, it would be a huge bonus. All right, so running. Going to add scouts. There he goes. Valas walling up. And instead of opening with a stable, He's actually going to go eco upgrades and spearmen and archers. Ooh. I just realized, yeah, he's got villagers on golds here. So archer and spearman play from him. We'll see how running chooses to deal with that. I don't think that was something that he was really expecting. But again, as that scout goes down there, and that's important because running won't see archers now, guys. Second time in this series, we've seen the importance of having your scout to know what your opponent's doing. And Valas will factor that into the equation here too. But yeah, you know, you still, with the scouts, could be okay. Running, maybe feeling like after seeing this, yeah, my opponent's just going to be fully walled. So let's just get our walls down as well. And it's just kind of using this early pressure time to just stay at home and use his scouts to protect resources and protect villagers. Not ideal if you're in this matchup, but not horrible if spearman archer is your opponent's play, because that could be something you might not want to deal with. Yeah, 17 seconds of TC idle time is super impressive. I agree. He also pushed in all of his deer. He also got his eco upgrades. His range timing was good. I can't really be critical of anything that Valas has really done this game. And yeah, the previous game maybe just it could have been a little wiser with the timing of his attack and whatnot, but he's played very good this series, man, and he needs these wins. If Valas doesn't get this win, he's going to have 1 win out of a potential 9, and running will end up having 4 out of a potential 9. So that puts Valas way at the bottom. Like, Valas would absolutely have to win his final 2 rounds, and he'd have to almost, like, 3-0 them. Both of these players could still end up getting relegated out of Group A when it's all said and done. But, again, like, what better chance are you going to have to get wins than against the other player that was promoted? This is your opportunity here. And those walls from running, though, are really going to serve him well, aren't they? This is not something he's prepped to deal with right now. Shouldn't be too big of a problem for him to just make buildings behind this. I'd be shocked if he even makes that many skirmishers. Both players fully walled. Both players heading up towards the castle age. But, you know, the Chinese, man, their farms, just like the Frank farms, obviously they feel so smooth with their eco. And normally you're in a pretty good position. There's no fletching here, so running... I'm not sure exactly what happened, but he should still be able to just build these buildings here. I guess he's just bringing his army home, and he's going to hope to use his skirmishers. Yeah, I suppose that's fine. Has the scouts on the outside if these things dive too deep, and has the skirmishers on the inside. Valas's walls look like a duck. Kind of, I guess. There you go. Skirms help out in the spearmen. Nice work here. Fletching's going to be in, though, so maybe Valas just wants to go for villager kills. Running's going to house wall this, though, and try to stop this from happening. And the house was taken out there. That was a really nice move there from Valas. Could be 2 vills here. If you're getting enough hits, it could be 2 vills. Oh! Doesn't get 2 villagers. Loses some archers and some spearmen. After all that, I think running will be pretty happy. Losing a villager wasn't ideal. But you kill all those archers, and those are archers you won't have to deal with in the long run now. So, the thing you never want to do with Franks is have to go knight and elite skirm. What you want to do is you just want to go knights. Chinese, they have the cheaper technologies, and they have the economy to be able to pull off crossbow and knight. Or crossbow camel. Crossbow camel's the really tricky thing. So again, I actually think I might even prefer the position right now for Valas, despite being up to castle age faster. Long-term golds, by the way, a big issue for these guys. 4-tile gold over here. This 4-tile gold's even worse, maybe, potentially. This whole hill in general is just calling for a TC, actually. This gold's a nightmare for Valas. This gold also maybe calling for a TC later on. Also, I might be biased, but I really like this version of Arabia. Anybody else? This version of Arabia is really satisfying. Your base is definitely more exposed than the latter version. Like, there are a lot of instances where your second and third golds can't be easily town-centered, and there are next to, like, larger hills that need to be controlled throughout the game. No pawns equals satisfying. That too. There's also no freaking pawns, man. The latter version of Arabia is in a solid state. It's not bad. There was a time, like a 6-month period, where Arabia was horrible. But the key here, I think, for Valas is he's got some archers and he's got the 2 stables. His opponent's not really committing towards skirmishers here in the long term. No fletching even for running. So Valas will know. And now running's probably like, ooh, crap. So what do? Do you go siege? Do you hope the knight numbers are going to be good enough? What's your decision here if you're running? You desperately need this win. There's a TC there and a siege workshop. Okay, so knight siege is the option. And that seems pretty reasonable, I think. You pretty much can't move out with your siege because there will be camels and knights. It could be either or. But if you keep it home with your siege and then your knights are just avoiding the crossbows and the camels in the middle, it could be okay. We also have a monastery now from running. Love the TC spot too because it protects this gold. And he's just bracing himself here. He didn't see the stables, but I'm sure he senses it. So we have 4 camels, 10 crossbows with Bodkin Arrow, and the wood upgrade, and the farm upgrade, and the second TC for Valas. Woo! What can this man do that I can't do? Scorpion, he's gonna, pick away at things. It's not that crazy. And this is a really important moment. Running is just hoping that Valas will continue to advance in this way and not loop around. But it's like, do you attack him and force him to loop, or what? Oh, he's got to prep some house walls in case these camels dive. Camels do dive in. Villagers now will leave. Knight gets attacked. Scorpion's been pulled back. This is impressive from running, honestly. Really impressive defense. And the fact that this TC is being built right already could save him. But these vills need to get there. They need to join the party. See how crazy this combination is? Like, there's not really any civilizations on Arabia that can open like this and have the eco they have behind this. Very few. And oh man, oh no! Sacrifice your scouts or something! Oh, yeah, just let him die. And no, he's not going to complete the TC. And Valas, man, this is crazy position for him. His opponent's got knights and scorpions and all this, but still just not really in a good position running to be able to contest any of this. I think he will eventually complete the TC. He does have both of his other town centers working. But this build-up has been so freaking difficult for him. And Valas has had some awesome patience, too, as he, behind this, does exactly what you should do. Drop your 3rd town center. Add a bunch more army. And then if you see the vills, you go for the snipes. Look at that, though. Running doesn't lose a vill somehow. Here he will convert a camel. Oh, it gets deleted. Never mind. And TC's at 80%. Pull back, running. No way. Are you kidding? These guys are monsters. How is he only... Well, he hasn't lost, actually, any villagers, excuse me. Oh, no, he did. He lost 1. Okay, my bad. Sorry, I flip-flopped the numbers here on my screen. Also, the fact that running has 1 minute of TC idle time as he finally loses that villager is also nuts to me. 1 minute of TC idle time when he had to deal with all that. Crazy economy. A bit more idle time overall. But now he's got the TC fired. Now he's got the monks. And so Valas has to consider, do I actually fight here? He chooses to. Now, there's not many arrows coming out of the TC. And, he's going to take out the scorpions. But I don't know. I can't help but feel like that fight wasn't actually horrible there for running. Running, actually, he loves that fight. I said it wasn't horrible, and then I looked at it more, looked at the HP, and suddenly, yeah. And Valas, he didn't actually produce more crossbows. It was only camels throughout that whole sequence. Crazy defense from running. The Scorpion Monk play was perfect. He now falls back. He's got his 3 town centers working. Now the Knights are going to feel a little bit more freedom to move forward because there's not as many crossbowmen to snipe the monks. That was a disgusting hold. I'm really surprised he was able to do that. Also, running, grabbing this relic. Has great vision on the map. So he's going to get maybe this relic as well if he heads over that direction. He's sending a few villagers to stone. Good thing to do with the Franks, so with the cheap castles. And it's still just crossbowmen and camels right now for Valas, though. I will say he's switching mainly back into the crossbowman. He's going to need more camels, too. Those knights do have +2 armor. I think that was part of it, too. I think the upgrades there, combined with the TC fire, the healing from the monks, the scorpion hits, the conversions, there was just a lot of different factors involved there. Okay, so running is still defending his hill. This game could give running, like if he wins this, could give him a really good shot at getting a 3rd or 4th place in this crazy, crazy group. Both players are going to have monks. Oh, man, dude. And Valas wants to drop a castle on his hill. He can absolutely get that castle up. He's got his own monks, his camels, and his crossbows. I think so. I think so. Running would have to be here, like, right now and get conversions with every one of his monks. I mean, oh... Okay, yeah, that castle is well on its way now. Running, maybe just going to get that relic. Scouting the map to look for another one. Adding another stable. This is the hill he wanted to push, guys. But that castle timing was just beautiful. And now running will see this. Could lose some units, too, if he doesn't notice in time. Scorpion should actually go down. Now he ends up having to back away here. And now you maybe question making more knights. Do you want to do that? Well, apparently you do. Now, apparently you don't. Maybe you have to. I think running will want a castle here. Maybe here, maybe here. He also might want a castle here. Or even further back next to your stable would be good. But you sadly kind of just have to hope your opponent doesn't make a ton of army. And just hold for the time being. Valas seems to just be waiting for Imp at the moment. And much like he waited to defend with this hill... Oh, this is going to be fun. It looks like he's going to just pull army over here to defend this hill for another castle. Miroslav. There's been no announcement to answer your question. I actually wasn't intending to even say your name, but I looked at your message, and it's been a rather long day as I was casting, and I just, like... My brain told my mouth to say there's probably going to be 2 castles for one player and 1 for the other. And then I ended up responding to you, so happy to respond anyways, don't get me wrong. Oh, man. Oh, it's going to be a forward castle here. This gets crazy now, doesn't it? Running, you got to protect those villagers, my man. Your knights are way out of position. What's happening here? Protect your monks, too. I actually think the castle completes. But running still producing knights could be a long-term issue if trebuchets get pulled into Valis' base later. And that monk also is just grabbing that relic. That monk will get a conversion before he dies. He just wanted to drop off a relic, but it wasn't possible for him. And oh, wait a second. What? Crossbows are inside the walls now. No way. Can they actually hit all those vills? Oh, running. You've got to get up to him, my friend. He could bust in here, though. Like, that's the thing. There's just not a lot of army for Valis. This is really intense. The villagers can all be hit by the crossbows. Are you kidding me? And running's just clicked in. He's just clicked in. He's like, if I get in, I can do this. And Valis has to quick wall everything. Quick wall's there. House wall there. Needs another house here or more houses there. What's happening? Also, the knights are distracting the ranged units. It's at 80%. Oh, if this was brought back just 2 more tiles, the castle would have been up. Running. Oh, his position probably so frustrating right now. And, oh, Valis drops his own castle here. Running. God, man. That... I mean... Now, just imagine if he would have just gone defensive castle and not lost the villagers and kept his knights alive and gone up towards Imp. Now there's just this crazy time window. I mean, at least your castle's cheap with Franks. But there's this crazy time window for Valis to just drop castles, go into Halb, and I think that's going to be his tech in the long run. He could have considered camels, maybe, to have a bit more mobility. But no, it's going to be Chukanu and Halb as he even builds castle number 3 here. Like, yeah, it is a cheaper castle, but he really needed... What he wanted to do was to complete that castle and for those knights to break in. If those knights made it in, which they could have easily had this castle gone up because it provided covered fire, they would be killing things right now. They wouldn't just be sitting at home. And while it is cheap, he still isn't in a position to have defensive castles everywhere. And getting the Cavalier upgrade and getting the armor, that takes a lot of time when you already have Halb and you have Chukunu and all these upgrades pushing forward at you. Valas needs this win. They both do, but Valas more than running, you could say, because Valas had 0 wins before the series started. And he's going to see these knights and, oh, man. Oh, this is so painful. You can't fight that. And when running saw Valas was just sitting back, he decided to flood knights and drop a castle. And he needed the drop a castle part to actually work out for him. That's actually good micro, as he killed a lot of Vils. And he is getting Cavalier, and he is getting armor. But it feels like anywhere he runs, he's going to be hit by Castle Fire or Halbs. Valas has played Chinese so good this game. Look, he's got the Trebs ready. And he'll just dive in for the eco with that. He's walled, has castles, is protected. And now he's pushing. 22 Halbs with more upgrades flying in. He actually has 2 blacksmiths right now. Underrated move. Getting as many upgrades as possible, even forward barracks. Now, the 5th relic was collected here. Buildings will go down. TC goes down, so your eco won't look as good. I think running has 1 chance here. And it's probably the Paladin upgrade. He has the hope that just Paladin is good enough to fight all these units in this combination. Anything else he tries wouldn't work. This is the right play for running to get himself out of this hole. And he is actually on this gold right now, so that's nice. And this gold. He needs Paladin, and after the Paladins engage, he needs to treb down all the castles, and for there to be a big snowball. But Valas, he's killing so many villagers in the meantime. He's trebbing down that castle, and his main priority is Halberdier. And running wants to keep this castle up. But, like, if to do that, you have to take an engagement before Paladin, don't you? There's just so many hard decisions for running to make right now, and that's just not going to be it. And he calls the GG. Valas wins this game. I'm really curious how this game goes if running doesn't try the forward castle, or if the castle is just 2 tiles further back. Because if it was 2 tiles further back, he's denying this gold. He's got map control, and Valas can't freely move out. Valas would have probably still had 2 castles. I think Valas would have probably had trebuchets. But, again, the main thing is when that castle's going up, look at the army count. 13 crossbows, 6 camels, 4 Chukunu. If the Vils can't be ranged, the castle's probably up already. 13 crossbows. Pikeman upgrade still not even completed. 5 Chukunu. That castle, if it would have been placed a little bit further back, would have been the difference in the game, I think, because running can run in with all those knights and upgrades. And it's really disappointing. But also, I have to say, Valas had to think about that. Like, look, he has an oh crap moment because there's knights in a castle here. Running realistically should never let those crossbows get away, right? Never let those crossbows get away. And then Valas is like, wait a second. Can I actually stop this? And so he runs in. He's through. And then he just sits in that spot. Crazy. I think it was at max range too. I think those villagers were 7 tiles away. So if he was 1 tile further back even, I don't think it would have been denied. And then obviously Valas had to do some crazy quick walls and house walls and everything else to stop the knights from diving. That was when the desperation had hit for running. But dang, it was a crazy game. It was a great series. So now at the conclusion of 3 rounds for these two, it's interesting. They both have a lot of work to do. We have Valas after 3 rounds with 2 wins. His opponent is going to be Nikov, and then the one opponent he's missing out of Group A, Doubt. Yeah, so he has to play Nikov and Doubt and probably win one of, if not both of those sets to have a chance. Really depends on how things go for the other players. For running, you've got 3 wins after 3 rounds. And you will have to play Nikov and ACCM. But it really feels like, let's just say if Nikov wins his sets against Valas and running, I think Valas and running may be relegated, right? Because they're really desperate for points right now. Obviously, it does depend, right? Nikov, he might lose. He might get 3-0'd to every other player he plays after those 2. You don't really know. So we've learned enough. We're past the halfway point after 3 rounds with 2 rounds to go where things are getting pretty dicey for some of these guys at the relegation battle. That's what's fun about this. We always have lots of things to talk about near the tail end. This player needs this result. This player needs that player to beat this player for them. And it'll continue for the relegation fight, but also for the promotion, or not promotion battle, but the playoff battle, as you'll want to be first, second, or third to get into the playoffs too.